So people, अभी हम लोगों ने क्या पढ़ा है? अभी न्यूज़पेपर रीडिंग सेशन कंप्लीट हुआ है। ब्रेक के बाद फिर से हम लोग ये सेशन स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं। इसमें क्विक रिवीजन होगा हमारा सारी चीज़ों पे। तो हमारा स्टार्ट हो रहा है सेशन हिस्ट्री में मर्केंटाइल एरा एंड संगम एज का रिवीजन करके उसके बाद से आंसर राइटिंग प्रैक्टिस इस क्लास में हम करेंगे, जिसका वीडियो आपको शाम तक मिल जाएगा। मर्केंटाइल एरा एंड संगम एज, डिस्कवरी ऑफ मानसून। The discovery of monsoon by Hippalos, a Greek navigator in 46 to 47 AD, led to more and more sea voyages for trading purposes. It proved to be a blessing for South Indian merchants because it accelerated the trade operation of South India. The discovery of the monsoons and the use of direct sea route between Indian coast and the Western world as well as Southeast Asian was the main reasons for the growing of trade. The pillars of the Erythraean Sea book that was written in the 1st century CE by an enormous author offered the most comprehensive description of Indian Roman trade. Major items of export to the Romans were the Indian products, spices such as Vayangpriya or pepper, perfumes, jewels and ivory, and fine textile, particularly muslin, beside pearls, indigo, sandalwood, iron and steel cutlery. Many precious and semi-precious stones like diamond, carnelian, turquoise, agate, sapphire, etc. were also exported. Major imports from the Romans. Major imports from the Roman are gold and silver to India. Growth of trade and commerce. External and internal growth via Silk Route. External via Silk Route. Internal Uttar Pratha, Dakshin Pratha. North plus west, northwest fringes, peninsula, western and northern parts. Also, few items came to India from China and Central Asia and then we transported to Rome. Silk earlier directly from China to Rome. After the annexation of iron by Parthians, it was first diverted to India. Important port of India on the western coast were Bharuch, Sofare, Kalyana and Mujrisi. Important ports of India on the western coast were Bharuch, Sofere, Kalyana and Mujris. Ships from these ports sailed to Roman Empire through the Red Sea. Trade with Southeast East Asia was conducted through the sea. Prominent ports on the eastern coast of India were Tamralipti, West Bengal, Arikamedu, Tamil Nadu coast. Trade and commerce. Unprecedented growth of craft was evident during this period. Digha Nikaya. Pre-modern mentioned 2 dozen occupations: Vastu mentioned 36 kind of workers. Melinda Panaha mentioned 75 occupations, of which 60 related to craft. Very high levels of specialization and craft, working of gold, silver, lead, tin, copper, brass, iron, precious stone, jewels. Did you know? So sophisticated iron artifacts were found at Karimnagar, Nalgonda district. Sophisticated iron artifacts were found at Karimnagar, Nalgonda district. Also, Indian iron and steel and cutlery were exported to Asian port and West Asian. Manufacturing, textile, cotton and silk weaving products are produced and of great demands in Roman Empire. Important textile manufacturing centers are Mathura was famous for satka, a special type of cloth. Vanga, Eastern Bengal was known for cotton and silk textile. Dyeing walls were found at Urayar and Arikamendu, South India. Apart from textile, luxury items, handicraft, and terracotta products rapidly progressed during this period. Ujjain was an important bead making center. Shell industry flourished during this year. Coin minting. They started to mint various types of gold, silver, copper, bronze, protein, lead, and fake Roman coins. Terracotta. Beautiful pieces of terracotta art found at Kushana and Satvahana sites. Yeleswaram in Nalgonda. Yeleswaram in Nalgonda. Artisans and merchants. With the specialization in art and craft, the artisans become prosperous during this period. Various inscription refers to the donation by them to the monasteries. It had a community of merchants following the name profession known as serni or guilds under the heads resti. Caravan trading community mostly engaged with inter-regional trade known as Sartha, headed by Sarthavaha, also emerged during this period. All the craft communities were organized under guilds head known as Jedhakas and Pamukha. Guilds elected their head and framed their own rules. Determine the price and quality of the product. They also performed the function of banks accepting public deposits at a fixed rate of interest. Yajnavalkya symmetry also hints towards their judicial role. They maintained a good rapport with the king, sometimes accompanying him. They were sometimes appointed as Mahamatas. Bandha Griha, an official who used to maintain the records of transactions and conventions of guilds, find mention in Nirodha Jataka. Some guilds also had to Srenivala, which was a kind of business organization run by these guilds that employed fighters. Some guilds issued coins and seals. Various seals found with caption Nigam Nigamasya. Rajghat legend Gavaka milkman. Bhita legend Sulpaikanam arrowheads maker. Achistara legend Kumakhara potters. Achichatra trade and agriculture, establishment of intimate contact with Central Asia, establishment of intimate contacts with Central Asia. Trade flourished during this period. Import of gold from Altai mountains of Central Asia. Kushanas had a strong control over Silk Route, which led to revenue from tolls. Gold coins were introduced by Indo-Greek in India. Kushans were the first to do so in a large scale. During this period, Kushans promoted agriculture and increased the area under irrigation. During this period, Kushans promoted agriculture and increased the area under irrigation. Administrative organization. Indo-Greek introduced the practice of military governorship called strategos. Kushanas introduced the Kushanas introduced the strap system of government, where the empire was divided into numerous strapi, and each strapi under the rule of one strap. This system led to the development of feudatory organizations. Sakas and Kushanas strengthened the idea of the divine origin of kingship. They took the title of Devaputra, sons of God. Impact of Central Asian contact. Impact of Central Asian contacts. Society. The assimilation in Indian society took place, and it added new element to Indian culture and enriched it immensely. The Central Asian adopt new social norms and popular design. The Central Asian adopt new social norms and popular religion. Sakas and Kushanas did not have their own script. Written language, or organized religion. So they adopt from India. The Central Asians were the conquerors. They were absorbed as Kshatriya. However, Manusmriti described the Sakas and Parthians as Vrata Kshatriya, second class Kshatriya, due to deviation from the sacrificial religion. Besides the worship of the classical pantheon of the Greek deities found on the coins. Jesus, Heracles, Athena, Apollo, the Indus Greek were involved with local faiths, particularly with Buddhism, but also with Hinduism and Zoroastrianism. Some Greek rulers converted to Vaishnavism, some practiced Shivaism, and others adopted Buddhism. The Greek ambassador Heliodorus set up a pillar in honor of Vasudeva near Vidisha, MP in 2nd century BC. Kushana ruler worshipped both Shiva and Buddha, and images of both appeared on their coins. Several Kushanas rulers also worshipped Vishnu, example Vasudeva. Origin of Mahayana Buddhism had a Central Asian influence, and Kanishka's role. Menander first converted to Buddhism and is described as a great benefactor of the religion on par with Ashoka or the future Kushan Emperor Kanishka. He is famous for his dialogues with the Buddhist monk Nagashina, transmitted in the Milinda Panha, which explained that he became a Buddhist arhat. Various Indian texts present Menander as an example of a benevolent ruler. Better cavalry. The Sakas and Kushanas introduced better cavalry and the use of the riding horse on a large scale. The Sakas and the Kushans were excellent horsemen. They popularized the use of rams and saddles, which appears in the Buddhist sculpture of the 2nd and the 3rd centuries AD. Some of these foreign horsemen were heavily armored and fought with spears and lances. The Saga and Kushan introduced the turban, tunic, trouser, and heavy long coat. Even now, Afghans and Punjabis were turbans, and the Sherwani is a successor of the long coat. They also brought in cap, helmet, and boots, which were used by warriors. Given these advantages, they made a clean sweep of their opponents in Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India. Later, when this military technology spread in India, the dependent princes turned them to good use against their former conquerors. Arts. In general, the art of the Indo-Greek is poorly documented, and few works of art apart from their coins and a few stone plates are directly attributed to them. Gandhara School of Art is one of them. Sorry, people. So, it is also thought that Greek contributed to the sculpture work of the pillar of Asoka and more generally to flourish the modern art. The sculpture and pottery, the Sakas Kushanas phase registered a distinct advance in building activities. Excavation revealed use of burnt bricks for flooring and that of tiles for both flooring and roofing and construction of bricks walls. Pottery, red pottery was prevalent in both plain and polished form and with medium to fine fabric. The distinctive pots were the sprinkle and spouted channel, which were the specialization of this period. Stupas. It is a large hemisphere dome with a central chamber where relics of Buddha's monks are kept in a small casket. It was surrounded by the Pradikshina path, which is a clockwise circumambulation enclosed by wooden railing, later made in stones. The main stupa, the Barhut stupa, which was made in the 2nd century BC, it had a wooden railing. It had a wooden railing which later was made of stone. The Sanchi stupa were three big stupas were constructed, and the biggest one was built by Asoka. It was enlarged to twice the size of Amravati and Nagarjunkonda. Stupa in Andhra Pradesh. Sculpture. There were three main sculpture schools such as Gandhara, Mathura, and Amravati. Literature and learning. Some of the great creative writers such as Ashwagosha enjoyed the patronage of the Kushans. Ashwagosha wrote the Buddha Charita, which is a biography of the Buddha, which is also composed from the Saundra Anand, a fine example of Sanskrit Kavya. The development of Mahayana Buddhism led to the composition of numerous avadhanas, life history, and teachings. Most of these texts were composed in what is now known as Buddhist hybrid script, Sanskrit language, with the sole objectives of communicating the teaching of Mahayana Buddhism to the people. Examples of important books of this genre were Mahavastu and Divyadana. Secular literature. The best example of secular literature is the Kamasutra of Vatsyana, attributed to the 3rd century AD. It is the earliest work on erotics dealing with sex and love making. It gives us a picture of the life of a city bred person or Nagaraka who lived in the period of thriving urbanization. Theatre. It is suggested that Indian theatre owed much to Greek influence. The Greek contributed to the Indian theatre by introducing the use of curtain, which came to be known as Yavanika. Both outdoor and indoor theatres appears in the caves of Ramgarh Hill, 160 miles south of Banaras, and there is also a rest house of actresses. The plan of the theatre is supposed to be of Greek origin, science and technology. Astronomy and astrology. In the postmodern times, Indian astronomy and astrology profited from contact with the Greeks. Many Greek terms comparing the movement of planets appearing in Sanskrit texts. Indian astrology was influenced by Greek ideas, and from the Greek term horoscope. Horoscope was derived the term Hora Shastra that denotes astrology in Sanskrit. Coins and glass making. Greek coins were properly stamped and important over punch marked coin. Glass making made immense progress under the influence of foreign practices. Megalith. A megalith is a large stone that has been used to construct a prehistoric structure or monuments either alone or together with other stones. There are over 35,000 in Europe alone, located widely from Sweden to the Mediterranean Sea. Most extant megalithic were erected between the Neolithic period, although earlier Mesolithic examples are known from the tribal. Megalithic builders Sangam age 1000 BC से 300 BC तक 300 AD तक 1000 BC से 300 BC मेगालिथिक बिल्डर और संगम में 300 से 300 AD 300 BC से 300 AD multiple stones. Single stone, the largest megalithic of the ancient world, found in Baalbek, Lebanon, was quarried during the Roman Empire. Menhir is the name used in Western Europe for a single upright stone erected in prehistoric time. Monolithic, any single standing stone erected in prehistoric time. Capstone style, single megalithics placed horizontally, often over burial chambers without the use of support stone. Alignment. Multiple megalithic placed in relation to each other with intention, often placed in rows or spirals. Some alignments such as Karnak stones in Brittany, France, consisted of thousands of stones. Megalithic walls, Cyclopean walls, chrome bleach stone circle, dolmen, megalithic form created by placing a large capstone on two or more support stones, creating a chamber below, sometimes closed in on one or more sides, often used as a tomb or burial chamber. Cist is a small stone built coffin-like box or ossuary used to hold the bodies of the dead burial. Are megalithic forms very similar to dolmens in structure. These type of burials were completed underground portals, doors and gates. The megalithic backgrounds of South India. background of South India. After the prehistoric period, several elements mark the beginning of the historical period. These were settlements of large-scale rural communities which carry on close agriculture and the aid of the iron plowshare. Formation of the state system, rise of the social classes, introduction of writing, introduction of mental coinage, and the beginning of written literature. All these phenomena did not come into being at the tip of the peninsula until about the second century BC. Up to the second century BC, the unland portion of the peninsula were inhabited by people who were called megalithic builders. Who are megalithic builders? They are known not from their actual settlements, as as that was rare, but from their funerary structure. The graves are called megalithic because they were encircled by large pieces of stone. The graves contains not only the skeleton of the people who were buried, but also pottery and iron objects. The megalithic people used various types of pottery, including red ware. However, black and red ware seems to have been popular with them. It was so widespread and important that initially black and red ware was called megalithic ware by archaeologists. Black and red ware. The practice of burying wood in the graves with the dead bodies was based on the belief that the deaf would need all these in the next world. However, in comparison to the number of agricultural tools that were buried, those meant for fighting and hunting are too number. That the megalithic people did not practice an advanced type of agriculture. The megaliths are found in all the upland areas of the peninsula, but their concentration seems to be in the eastern Andhra and in Tamil Nadu. The beginning of the megalithic sculpture can be traced to 100 BC. Though in many instances the megalithic phase lasted from about the 5th to the 1st century BC, and in the few places this phase persisted even as late as the 1st AD. The megalithic people in the southern district of Tamil Nadu had certain noteworthy characteristics. They buried the skeleton of the dead in the urn made of red pottery in peats. In many instances, these urns were not surrounded by stone circle and The megalithic people produced paddy and ragi. Apparently, the area of cultivable land used by them was very limited, and they generally did not settle on the plain or lowland due to their thick forest cover. Sangam period. The Sangam period 300 BC to 200 CE is generally considered as the classical age of the Tamils. It is regarded analogous at the age of the classics in Greece and Rome, and to that of resistance of the later period in Europe. In Europe. Some even consider the Sangam age as the golden age of the Tamils, which marked a unique epoch in the history of the Tamilakam. The archaeological sources found from different explored or excavated sites throw light on the various aspects of the political, social, economic, religious, and the cultural life in the Sangam age people. However, the precious literary finds of this period discovered from various places in South India provide us with significant information in this regard. In other words, the Sangam literature is the major source for the study of the Sangam age. The Chera Bau Kingdom. The Chera Kingdom. Emperor is Bau, capital Wanji, Karayar, main ports Mujaris and Tondi. First ruler Udiyarangal. The Chola. एम्बलेम टाइगर. कैपिटल क्या है? उरैयर. इनलैंड कैपिटल एंड फेमस सेंटर ऑफ कॉटन ट्रेड पुहार. कावेरी पत्तनम कोस्टल कैपिटल मेन पोर्ट. फर्स्ट रूलर इलारा करिकला फेमस. द थर्ड वन द पांड्याज फिश. मदुरई इनलैंड कैपिटल एंड वेन्यू ऑफ फर्स्ट एंड थर्ड तमिल संगम. कारोकोई Kolkoi, coastal capital and famous for pearl sport. Mudukudumi, Nedunjalai. Cholas. The Chola kingdom was also known as Chola Mandalam. It was situated on the northeast of Pandya's kingdom between Pennar and Vellar river. Corresponds to Tanjore and Tiruchirappalli. They had an efficient navy. The chief center of political power and capital was Urayur, which was famous for cotton trade. It was the main source of wealth. In the middle of the second century BC, a Chola king named Ilara conquered Sri Lanka and ruled over it for nearly 50 years. Puhar, Kaveri Pattinam was the main port and also an alternate capital. Karikala was the greatest king. He defeated the Pandyas and Cheras in the Battle of Vani. He founded Puhar. He was credited with having defeated a confederacy of Pandyas, Cheras, and their allies at the Battle of Vani. He also won at Vahiparandalai. And according to Sangam texts, several chieftains lost their umbrella. Patinala Pai gives an account of this region. 160 kilometers of embankment of Kaveri using 0,000 Sri Lankan slaves brought as captives. He made settlement of forest land, advanced irrigation system with tanks and canals. He also performed Vedic sacrifices. Tondaiman Elandrian. He ruled from Kanchi. He was an independent subordinate ruler of Karikala. He He was a poet, and in one of the poems he emphasized on the personal character of the king. Post Karikala, the empire started to decline. He had a bitter fight between two successors, Nalan Kili, Nedun Kili. The neighboring power expanded their empire at their cost. From 4th to 9th century AD, Cholas played only a marginal role in South Indian history. Pandyas. Pandyas. In the book Indica, Megasthenes mentioned that the Pandyas kingdom was ruled by a woman. They were famous for wars. Pandyas was also mentioned in Ramayana and Mahabharata. Other mentions of Pandyas are found in Asoka Major Rock Edict 2 and 13. Hathi Gumfa inscription mentioned Kharvela destroyed a group of southern states, Tamira, Desa, Sanghata. The Pandyan territory included modern Tiruvenveli, Ranmand, and Madurai, capital situated at the bank of Vaigai river. Their earlier capital was Old Madurai and Kapadapuram. Pandyas were used to trade with Romans, which was very profitable. They sent embassies to the Roman Emperor Augustus and Trojan. They performed Vedic sacrifices, and the Brahmanas were influential. Mudukumi Palasai was the earliest known Pandyan ruler. Nedunjalyan first. He was the greatest Pandyan king. Nedunjalyan first. He was accused by Kovlan of theft, and as a result, Madurai was cursed of Kanagi of the Siladipuram. He died of remorse. As per Sangam text, he was wealthy and prosperous. पीपल इस रिलेटेड हम मेंस आंसर राइटिंग तब तक कर लेते हैं, ठीक है। और उसके लिए क्योंकि मैं अभी पढ़ते पढ़ते थक गया हूँ, तो सोचा कि तब तक यही कर लेते हैं। और आप लोग चाहो तो आप लोग भी प्रैक्टिस कर सकते हो मेरे साथ साथ, और ये अच्छा होगा, बहुत अच्छा होगा अगर आप भी साथ साथ कर रहे हो तो। क्वेश्चन क्या होगा? पहला क्वेश्चन, तो क्वेश्चन क्या है? डिस्कस द एक्सटेंट, सेटलमेंट पैटर्न एंड सबसिस्टेंसेस इकोनॉमी ऑफ द मेगालिथिक कल्चर। डिस्कस द एक्सटेंट settlement, discuss the extent, settlement pattern, settlement economy of the megalithic पंद्रह नंबर का क्वेश्चन होगा 254। द नियोलिथिक, डिस्कस द क्वेश्चन फिर से पढ़ लो भाई, क्या है? डिस्कस द एक्सटेंट, सेटलमेंट पैटर्न एंड सबसिस्टेंसेस इकोनॉमी ऑफ द मेगालिथिक कल्चर, ऑफ द मेगालिथिक कल्चर। द नियोलिथिक फेज ऑफ साउथ इंडिया, the Neolithic phase of South India. Neolithic phase of South India was succeeded, as you will see, WD is succeeded by the megalithic, MEGALITHIC megalithic culture, CULTURE culture. 1200 BC to 300 BC. Megalithic refers to large stone structure. Megalithic refers to large stone, STRUCTURE, large stone structures constructed as burial sites, the Cholas Pandyas and Cheras mentioned in Ashokan inscription in the late megalithic phase of features of the megalithic cultures. Features of megalithic culture. The first one, geographical extent. Geographical extent. The megalithic settlements are found in all upland areas. The megalithic settlement. The megalithic settlements are found in all upland areas of peninsular India. Eastern Andhra Pradesh. Nadu seems to be Eastern Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. Eastern Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. एग्जाम्पल में हम ले लेंगे ब्रह्मगिरी, मस्की. Megalithic settlements are found in all upland areas of peninsular India, but their concentration seems to be in eastern Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. Example: Brahmagiri, Musky in Karnataka. The second feature क्या हो जाएगा हमारा? burial practices. The megalithic graves were encircled by large pieces of stone. The graves contain not only the skeleton, not only the skeleton of the people, who were who were buried but also pottery and iron object. Third picture is period of taking pottery. The megalithic people made a variety of the megalithic people black and pottery. The megalithic people made a variety of pottery, including red ware, but black and red ware was particularly popular. Archaeologists initially called this black and red ware pottery is megalithic ware because it was so common among them. The third picture is iron objects. Megalithic burial sites. Iron object. Megalith burial sites have yielded the first iron object from South India, including arrowheads, sword, spearheads, दर्द, पीड़ा। तो आयरन ऑब्जेक्ट्स में क्या है? मेगालिथिक बॉरियल साइट्स हैव yielded the first iron objects from South India, including arrowheads, swords, spearheads, trident, plowshares, sickles, etc. So people, आप लोग ये चीज़ है कि आप लोग मुझे भी सजेशन दे सकते हो, ठीक है? कोई इशू हो या कोई चीज़ मैं गलत कर रहा हूँ तो वो आप मुझे भी बता सकते हो, क्योंकि मैं भी सीख ही रहा हूँ, मैं आपको पढ़ा नहीं रहा। मैं ये कह रहा हूँ हाँ आप मेरे साथ पढ़ लो। ज़िंदगी में कभी सीखना ख़त्म नहीं होता है। So I'm in the process of learning. I'm requesting you all to join with me. नेक्स्ट फीचर पे चलते हैं, एग्रीकल्चरल प्रैक्टिसेस। एग्रीकल्चरल megalithic site shows that the people who built them mainly engaged in agro-pastoral and hunting activities for their livelihood. The tools found were mostly meant for fighting. The tools found were mostly meant for fighting and not mostly meant for fighting and hunting. Rather than agricultural practice. This indicates that these people did not have advanced agriculture. These people industrial activity. The discovery of metal like iron lead to craft making weapons, tools and jewelry. Like plow, hoes, Karnataka. Does the megalithic people practice the divergent economic patterns which seems to have prevailed during this phase were not isolated but had a symbiotic So people अभी तो सिर्फ हिस्ट्री पार्ट कंप्लीट हुआ है, इसके बाद भी इकोनॉमी बचा हुआ है। मेरे को रेस्ट मांगता है, रेस्ट पूरा रेस्ट मांगता है भाई। दस मिनट थोड़ा सा माइंड लगा। इकोनॉमिक पार्ट भी कंप्लीट कर ही लेते हैं, क्योंकि मेरे को फिर कुछ काम है, फिर अभी ये डिले करने होंगे तो फिर वो भी डिले होगा। इकोनॉमिक का रिवीजन फटाफट कर लेते हैं, बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं होगा मेरे को जहाँ तक लगता है, और उसको करके फिर आंसर राइटिंग बच जाएगा, तो आंसर राइटिंग को स्किप करके बाद में मैं कर लूँगा। बट स्किप करना गलत है, स्किप करने पे होता है ना कि अभी स्किप है थोड़ी देर और थोड़ी देर, ऐसा गैप अप ज़्यादा गैप हो जाता है, बट ज़्यादा गैप होगा नहीं, मैं कर लूँगा। सो पीपल, इकोनॉमी में करेंसी एक्सचेंज रेट पड़ेगा। करेंसी एक्सचेंज रेट, currency exchange rate, it is the value of domestic currency in terms of foreign currency. It is the value of the domestic currency in terms of foreign currency. The value of the rupee in dollar are the value of dollar in rupee. The value of rupee in dollar are the value of dollar in rupee. Historical perspective of exchange rate. Until 1945, no exchange rate existed and the land was the symbol of prosperity. Post 1945, wealth became the symbol of prosperity. In 1944, at the Bretton Woods Conference, two organizations were finalized: World Bank and International Monetary Fund (IMF). Herein, there was decided that the dollar would be the international currency and trade would be carried out in dollar. Trade would be carried out in dollar. Trade would be carried out in dollar. Reason for acceptance of the dollar as an international currency: more than half of Europe was under American debt. This led to the economic dominance of America. Another major power, USSR, did not believe in capitalism. The world had no option but to accept the dollar as the international currency. As the international currency. This led to the dominance of the dollar in international trade. This led to the dominance of the dollar in international trade. Exchange rate regimes. Gold standard, 1870s to 1950s. Under the gold standard regime, countries would keep a reserve of gold based on which it can issue currency. Under the gold standard regime, countries would keep a reserve of gold based on which it can issue currency. Example: $1 can be issued when the central bank would have 14 grams of gold. Example: $1 can be issued when the central bank would have 14 grams of gold. Similarly, England said that they would issue 1 GBP when they would have 73 gram of gold. This means that 1 GBP is equal to 5 US dollar. This was the exchange rate. Of gold standards. Implication of gold standard. Since gold was limited in amount, this exchange rate. Since gold was limited in amount, this exchange rate led to the peeling up of gold with the banks and its subsequent shortage in the world. In the early 20th century, there was a shortage of gold due to lacunas in gold mining, and the world moved toward bimetallism. Thus, silver, apart from gold, was considered as a reserve against the issuance of currency. This system worked through not continuously for the period between the First and the Second World War. However, the system would not sustain, and in 1929, the world witnessed the Great Depression. The world witnessed the Great Depression, and the old systems began to collapse. Fixed exchange rate system, Bretton Woods system, 1946-1971. Fixed exchange rate system. Fixed exchange rate system, Bretton Woods. Fixed exchange rate system, Bretton Woods system, 1946 to 1971. The USA fixed the rate of its currency. Dollar rate as 1 US dollar is equal to 1 by 35 ounce gold. This made the International Monetary Fund (IMF) fix the currency of the other country against gold. Thus, it is referred to as the fixed exchange rate regime. Flaws of the fixed exchange rate. Since the developing countries and the latest developed country LDC had limited gold their currency, issuing power was constant. People in the USA started exchanging their dollar for gold and started selling the gold at a high profit in the market. Thus came the special drawing right SDR by the IMF. Pegged exchange rate, fixed exchange rate, 1972 to 1992. The value of the currency was to be determined by the central bank of government. The value of the currency was to be determined by the central bank of the government. Floating or flexible exchange rate. The exchange rate in case of the floating or the flexible exchange rate is determined by market forces. Of demand and supply. Managed floating 1995 onward. The exchange rate in normal circumstances. The exchange rate in normal circumstances would be determined by the market forces of demand and the supply. The flexible exchange rate in times of high fluctuation in the market, the central bank or the government would intervene to fix the exchange rate for the time being. When the fluctuations are stabilized, the central bank would stop intervening and the market force would work as before. Related term. Depreciation. When the rupee is cheaper or weak compared to the dollar or say the demand for dollar has increased, this depreciation of the domestic currency would make export competitive, and the result in profit for the exporters. On the other hand, depreciation of currency would make import more expensive and hence loss for the importer. Appreciation. When the rupee becomes stronger or costly in comparison to the dollar, it is referred to as appreciation. Hence, the exporter would be at loss, whereas it would result in the profit for the importer. Currency. $1 is equal to 65 रुपये. डिप्रिसिएशन और अप्रिसिएशन ऑफ करेंसी. अप्रिसिएशन होता है तो एक्सपोर्टर को लॉस होगा, इम्पोर्टर को प्रॉफिट होगा. और $1 रहे तो डिप्रिसिएशन या कुछ नॉर्मल है, कुछ भी होगा नॉर्मल है. अगर $1.75 हो जाता है तो डिप्रिसिएशन होता है, जिसमें एक्सपोर्टर को जो बेचता है उसको प्रॉफिट होगा। ओके। फैक्टर अफेक्टिंग एक्सचेंज रेट्स इन इंडिया। फैक्टर अफेक्टिंग एक्सचेंज रेट्स इन इंडिया। Intervention of Reserve Bank of India (RBI). Intervention of Reserve Bank of India. Since India has adopted managed floating, RBI intervention can influence the exchange rate in India. RBI intervention can influence exchange rate in India. Inflation. If the rate of inflation is more in the country, the demand for foreign currency will rise. Subsequently, foreign investor would withdraw their money from India. This would increase the demand for foreign currency, leading to a decrease in the exchange rate for the currency. High rate of interest would lead to increase purchase of government bonds. This will increase the demand of rupee and decrease in the demand for dollar and vice versa. Similarly, a high rate of interest in the USA would increase the demand for dollar and decrease the exchange rates. Export and import. If the exports are high, the value of currency would increase as the demand for rupee in the market would increase. If the imports are high, the value of currency would decrease as demand for domestic currency would decrease. जय माता दी, जय महाकाल। मेंस के क्वेश्चन अभी कर लें या बाद में करेंगे भैया? क्या करें तो करें क्या? 10 मिनट करें, कंप्लीट करके फ्री हो जाओ यार। तो पीपल एक और मेंस आंसर राइटिंग कर ही लेते हैं, क्यों छोड़ना? क्यों? तो टाइम नहीं है, ऊपर से और डिले करना चीज़ें सही नहीं है, ठीक है? तो इन प्लेस ऑफ डूइंग डिले, लेट्स कंप्लीट इट। कैमरा एडजस्ट कर लूँ मैं, फिर आप भी देखते जाना, मैं भी लिखते जाऊँगा। शुरू करें? और आप भी चाहो तो आप भी शुरू कर लो। हाउ इज द करेंसी एक्सचेंज रेट डिटरमाइंड? मीन्स क्वेश्चन। ओके, फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन क्या है? हाउ इज द करेंसी exchange rate, how is the currency exchange rate determined? Explain the factors influencing the value influencing the exchange rate in इंडिया। क्वेश्चन क्या है? 15 नंबर का है, 15 मार्क्स, 250 वर्ड्स। ठीक है, शुरू करते हैं। आंसर: द करेंसी एक्सचेंज रेट इन द वैल्यू ऑफ द डोमेस्टिक करेंसी। द करेंसी is the value of domestic currency in terms of in the foreign context. It is the value of the rupee. It is the value of the rupee in terms of dollar or the value of dollar in terms of rupee. It came into existence. In 1946 when the value of various currencies was determined against dollar. Methods of determining the exchange rates. फर्स्ट मेथड क्या होगा, फिक्स एक्सचेंज रेट, फिक्स्ड under this fixed exchange rate. Under these, the exchange rate is determined by the capital, determined by the capital bank, determined by the determined by the central bank, determined by the central bank of the country or the government. Flexible exchange rate, flexible exchange rate. Under the flexible exchange rate, exchange rate system, the exchange rate is determined by the exchange rate. The exchange rate is determined by market forces of managed floating exchange rate. The currency exchange rate is determined the market forces of demand and supply. However, central bank of the country, Reserve Bank of India, in case of India, or the other government interventions during cases, yes, cases of high fluctuation, fluctuation, factors affecting the exchange rate in India, factors affecting the exchange rate in India. First one is intervention of Reserve Bank, Reserve Bank of India, RBI. Since India has adopted managed influence the exchange. India. Inflation. Second one is the demand for foreign currencies, CY currency will arise, leading to a decrease in the for the currency. Rate of interest. High rate of interest would lead high rate of interest would lead to increased purchase of government bonds. This will increase the demand for rupees, and decrease in the demand for dollars, and vice versa. And the last one, export and import. Export and import. If the value of export is high, the value of the currency would increase as the demand for rupee. In the market would increase. If the imports are high, the value of currency would decrease. If the imports are high, the value of currency would decrease as the currency exchange rate regime has been the most important regime in the world, as it reflect the across the world, has been determining the value of domestic currency ओए होए होए होए। पीपल की जान जाए पर जो धर्म है वो न जाए। So मैं क्या, ये कहाँ से कैमरा क्यों इतना डिस्टर्ब हो गया। तो मैं बता रहा था कि हाँ ये चीज़ कंप्लीट हो गया, हिस्ट्री कंप्लीट हो गया, इकोनॉमी कंप्लीट हो गया, एनसीईआरटी वाला पार्ट बच गया है। तो उसके लिए थोड़ा सा मॉर्निंग का टाइम मेरा डिस्टर्ब हो रहा है इस वजह से कि टाइम बच नहीं पा रहा, 4 बज गया। सो पीपल लेट्स एनसीईआरटी स्किप करेंगे, बट देखते हैं मौका मिलेगा तो उसके लिए भी वापस लाइव आएंगे। ओके, सो अभी के लिए इतना ही, ठीक है। मेरे साथ लग जाओ और सब्सक्राइब कर लो, अपने दोस्तों के साथ शेयर कर लो जो भी यूपीएससी का प्रिपरेशन करना चाहते हैं। थैंक यू, मिलते हैं फिर से।